One Piece power scaling agenda piece isn't just brain rot, it's performance art. And it saved the One Piece discourse. Agenda in the One Piece fanbase is simple. It's power scaling your favorite character to unreasonable levels. It's a consistent bias you push every single time that character comes up, like a lawyer in a courtroom with their client. But to understand the nuances of this phenomenon, we need to go back to the roots of power scaling in the One Piece world and the brain rot that built it. Because I genuinely believe that without agenda, One Piece wouldn't be as relevant today. Power scaling in One Piece up until Marineford was ambiguous to say the least. Luffy and the crew either overcame challenges with luck or some creative borderline insane thinking. There wasn't really any sense of skill. Luffy figured out Crocodile's weakness, bypassed his intangibility, and beat him silly, even though Crocodile could later clash evenly with Doflamingo, a villain who gave a much stronger Luffy serious trouble. Scaling before Marineford, almost negligible, like it did not exist. Then came Marineford and Oda started introducing power hierarchies. Not necessarily power scaling, but by showing us what certain characters were capable of. I mean, what they were really capable of. Relative to everyone else, Oda built the ladder that the rest of the series would climb. Warlords ruled over pirates, admirals ruled over warlords, and the Yonko ruled over everything. And yet, sure, there was nuances and exceptions. Some warlords could beat some admirals, and some admirals could beat some Yonko. Things still weren't so clear-cut, but the structure nonetheless existed. And when the war ended, the agendas begun. Thanks to this new visible hierarchy, people can now compare and argue endlessly. If admirals can fight Whitebeard, could they beat a Yonko? If Mihawk is the world's strongest swordsman, does that make him stronger than Shanks? All of these ideologies now had ammo. And by Dressrosa, post-time skip, people had already picked sides. And Oda continued to commit to this. Doflamingo was terrified of Kaido, but couldn't care less about Fujitora or even Kuzan. Fast forward to Wano, or more specifically, Roof Piece. The fandoms had fully grown, and agendas had fully matured. Sanji and Zoro aren't just strong now, they're YCO, Yonko commander level. Same with Kid and Law, both considered weaker than the Yonko, but stronger than most commanders. The old days of toss-ups, tenacity, and creative matchups thrown out the window. Under no circumstance could one tier beat another. Unless, of course, with considerable plot. To summarize, Marineford gave One Piece hierarchy. Dressrosa gave it politics. And by Wano, it was religion. A religion even Oda himself wasn't above. For example, Mihawk is the strongest swordsman. Something stated by both the narrator and even Oda himself. So logically, he should be stronger than Shanks. Right? Well, actually, no. You see, Shanks is what's known as a Haki man. He fights using Haki Susanos and his Haki wand. Plus, Oda isn't even a reliable source. The agenda is now so potent that it transcends everything. It transcends logic, it transcends narrative, and it transcends Oda himself. Now you might think this is actually a bad thing, but here's the twist. This actually saved One Piece. By this time in most long-running shonen, people already know the strongest characters. There's no mystery left or room for debate. Madara Uchiha by the war arc of Naruto could easily murderize every single Akatsuki member, every single Jonin, and every Kage, with little effort or debate. You can't find something like a Yamato agenda or Orochimaru agenda, and there's nothing wrong with that, but discussions get boring fast. Everyone agrees on who's strong and who's weak, and the lore calcifies. But One Piece doesn't. Why? Because the arguments never end. Even now, I can still give you a compelling argument for why Crocodile goes high diff with Kaido, the world's strongest creature. Shanks still isn't a swordsman, and absolutely nobody is ready for him. Discourse in the community became theater. What used to be a comment section fight turned into something closer to pro wrestling. It's performative, and that's the point. Rather than killing discussions, Agenda Piece made it fun again. Agenda Piece gave the One Piece fandom its own language. It made arguing fun again.